How can you get a free copy of the same one-page contract that I've used since 2003 to wholesale house after house without using my cash or credit? That same contract has been used all over the country for free since 2008. If you stick around, I'm going to also show you how to fill it out for motivated sellers and cash buyers. As a bonus, in 2021, I'm adding 2 new features to dealulator.com that's going to make wholesaling real estate easier for you. So you know what you need to do is stand by. Let's get it.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man, and Happy New Year. Those of you that know the movie Trading Places know where that, I guess, somewhat joke comes from. So you're here to get access to my one-page contract and the instructions on how to fill it out for motivated sellers and for cash buyers. Now I have tons of videos that I've done over the years on my contract and how to fill it out, but I try to do an updated version of it every year. So it's 2021 and this is the 2021 version. Now, if you stick around, you're going to have an opportunity to take advantage of 2 new features that I'm going to add to dealulator.com. One of them will be free. The other one will start out as free, and it may remain free. I don't know. It depends on how busy it is because it's going to cost me money to maintain it. But both of them are going to be so valuable to helping you put deals together. So you want to stick around at the end of the video for me to explain exactly what those will be and how soon they'll be coming. Make sure that you follow me on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter at @AskFlipMan, and subscribe to the channel right here on YouTube because this is where it all goes down. I give it all away on this wholesaling real estate thing. All right, now guys, this contract, I try to make things easier for you by making it presentable professionally. A lot of say, well, please let me have a blank copy. I want to put it in the seller's hands. Why? You're trying to complicate it for yourself. By doing that, you put it in their hand and they start asking you questions and you can't even explain it. I try to make this easier for you guys. Number one, present a professional contract. Send it to them by email. Give them the option to do 3 simple clicks and it's signed. It's signed. Now you can email it to wherever you need to send it, to a title company or closing attorney. It makes it so much easier. Now, I'm going to show you how to fill it out for motivated sellers and cash buyers. Now, sometimes cash buyers won't use this contract. They'll want to use their own. That's fine as long as it mirrors the terms with what you have with your motivated seller. And if you're dealing with a real estate agent, they're not going to use this contract at all, which I don't recommend newbies even fooling with real estate agents for a number of reasons. But you want to deal directly with actual sellers. Not saying you can't do deals with agents, I'm just letting you know, but they're not going to use this contract. Not dealing with an agent. When you're dealing with Joe the seller though, you're not going to give them the option because you have to control your deal starting with the actual contract. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you, number one, how to get it for free. Number one, how to fill it out for motivated sellers, how to get it fill out with cash buyers. Then on top of that, you're going to have an option to get it signed quickly using technologies. Click, 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 and it's signed. You're not going to believe it if you haven't seen it before. Okay, so make sure again you stick around for the 2 new features in 2021 that's going to change the game. Both are free. They're going to start out as free. One of them will remain free. The other one, I'm not sure. It depends on how busy we get with it because it's going to cost me money to maintain it. So again, make sure you follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the channel right here on YouTube, share and like this right now. Stick around for the 2 bonuses that are going to be added in 2021. So let's get over to the actual training. Okay, so you want a free copy of the one-page contract that I've been using since 2003, and many others have used around the country since 2008, as I've given it away for free to thousands of individuals. All right, here's your opportunity to get it. All right, so but along with that, I'm going to show you how to fill it out for motivated sellers and cash buyers, aka investors. Now, before we get into it, you're here at dealator.com. This is where I have access to the free deal calculator that you can use to figure out if you actually have a deal or not. You can also partner with me on deals if you have them under contract, if they're off market, and you're dealing directly with the owner themselves. This video will explain in detail. As you see here, there's a list of cities here, but don't worry about that. As you see down here at the bottom in the black, if you don't see your city of market, we still want your deals. Tap here to submit your deal now. Okay. Also, while you're here at dealator.com, you can access the real estate tool of tools. If you're trying to build buyers list, you're trying to build lists for cold calling, trying to just simply see who owns that vacant house, and plus much more. Our top 10 ways to use the best real estate tool. The video will go into a lot of details there, but also it's in mobile, smartphone app format for Android and Apple products. All right, so you definitely want to take advantage of the 5-day free trial. Watch this video before you even do that, and you'll see why. Again, there's the JV option right there. But also, we have the other tool here with Batch Driven, where if you want to drive for dollars sitting in your PJs, that's an option also. So enough of those. Let's get over here to the actual agreement. So to access the agreement, you go to agreement forms and you do purchase and sales agreement. Okay, so what we're going to do first, we're going to fill out the agreement for the actual motivated seller. Now, guys, which I probably have iterated in the beginning of this video, but the sole purpose of me putting this in the on the web as the option to get the contract, because a lot of people say, well, can I get a blank copy of it or whatever? Yeah, you can do it. Just type it up, but this is the way you can access the contract. My purpose, guys, is to make it easier for you to do deals. One of the worst things you can do is show up with a contract in your hand. Now you got to try to explain it, right? You can do that, and sometimes you won't have an option because some people don't have email, but that is so rare. That is so rare. I'm trying to encourage you to and make it easy on you so you don't get in a position to start trying to answer questions about the contract that you don't know. It's a lot easier to answer those questions when someone's talking to you over the phone about it or through an email or a text message or something. Now you have an opportunity to get the answer faster than right there in their face. But the main thing is this is just a more professional way of doing it, and it allows you to manage the entire process and control the process a lot easier. Again, if you want a free, a copy of it, print it out, you want to use this same verbiage, just type it up yourself. That's the answer to it. But this is the way you can get it. It's the only way you can get it. All right. So let's get into filling it out, right? Okay. So you've established the date. So we'll just go with January 1st. All right. And so January 1st, 2021. All right. And so it'll be Joe the seller. All right. Which I should take this Social Security thing out because you're never going to ask someone for that information on the title company or closing attorney there. But for the sake of it, it's still here now. So you'll just do NA. All right. You, the wholesaler. All right. The actual address, which is already filled in here, 123 Main Street, Big Money, Alabama, 35211. The county, we'll just go with Jefferson, which is where I'm located. And personal property included. That's just an area where I just, it allows me to say property sold as is. I probably should change that to something else, but it's been working for years or whatever. All right, now the earnest money part of it. So what is earnest money? It's basically you giving or showing good faith that, hey, I'm serious about buying this property. But how much earnest money should you put up? It can be a penny in reality. It just has to be some form of consideration. Now, dealing with real estate agents, they normally don't want to do anything less than $1,000, maybe $500, but that's not a law. It's just their standard of doing business or whatever. But when you're just dealing with Joe, the seller, it's just whatever you all agree upon or whatever you all negotiate. And most people don't really care, especially motivated sellers. They just don't think in those terms or whatever. So $10 will work in a lot of cases. I've normally would do $100 for the sake of this particular contract, because we're going to do it for the seller and the buyer. So in order for it to make sense, we have to start with some numbers. We're going to use a house that that the ARV on the house is $230,000, and for whatever reason you can get it for $100,000. It may need we'll say 30,000 in repairs or whatever, but you can get it for $100,000, right? They may be going through a divorce or a tired landlord or inherited property or whatever, needs too many repairs. So your earnest money deposit is going to be $100,000. I'm sorry, $100. So you're going to subtract the $100 from the $100,000. That needs $99,900. All right. Existing loans and liens, you don't know what those amounts are. Even if they showed you documentation, some of that's normally still going to be off. You have to get actual payoffs, and so it doesn't matter at the point that comes out in the title search during that particular part of the process. New loan to seller, not really necessary, so NA or whatever, and then purchase price. So the purchase price again was $100,000. Okay. Now cash to sell at closing should always match number 2. So what I'll do, I'll just copy that and paste it here, right? And you can type it in also. And then it says shall be as paid as follows. I just normally do full amount. Now you can do bank wire if you know that's how they're going to be paid out, or certified funds or cashier's check. It's up to you on what you want to put there. All right. Now, number 4 here, buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens. You see some of my older videos, I write it in, but I edited it and removed one particular area here and just included it here in the actual printed version of it. Now, what that means is simply what it says here. Buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens. Most people are not going to give you a price that doesn't cover what they owe, whether that's unpaid taxes on the property, property taxes, mortgages, whatever loans they may have on it, or liens. So that $100,000 up here covers what they owe. Let's just assume for the sake of this that they owe with everything, with taxes, unpaid mortgage, and or some liens, they owe $40,000. So instead of them walking away from the closing table with $100,000, they're going to walk away from the closing table with only $60,000, which is $40,000 subtracted from $100,000 from what they owe down here. Now, some of this verbiage here is going to talk about title insurance and things that unpaid fees or whatever. And this overrides all of that. And you may get that question sometimes. You just have to explain to them that number 4 overrides that. The only thing that they're responsible for is any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or liens. I just wanted to make sure you understood that part of it. Now, you won't be paying the closing costs. This will be transferred over to your buyer, and I'll explain that once we fill out the buyer side of the contract here. Okay, so now the closing date and transfer of title. So your date is January 1st, right? And so you should never do a contract for less than 30 days. Especially with this COVID stuff, you really probably want to do a minimum of 45 days, 60 if you can get it. But for the sake of this, we'll just say January 31st, just for the sake of this contract. We'll just assume things are normal or whatever. So, all right, so and then 2021. All right, closing will be held at. Now, unless you already have controlled the deal, know you have a buyer that's going to close where you want to close, or you and the buyer have already discussed it, or whatever, because you already have someone that you know that wants the house or whatever, then you can go ahead and put it there. But assuming you don't have a buyer, then because you're in a lot of cases, you're not going to choose where the closing will be held. So you'll do TBD, which means to be determined. All right. So and then when we fill out the buyer side, we'll do a little something different here. All right. So now the rest of it basically it just explains just normal terms as for real estate or whatever. Number 9 here does actually say access advertising and the repairs made by buyer or whatever. Some people will balk at it. In most cases, they won't trip about it. But if they do, you can always just omit it, just writing omit over top of that or whatever. Now, number 10, people always ask, well, how can you get out of the contract? A couple of ways. Number 10 actually is the, I guess, get out of the contract clause. The liability shall be limited to the property itself and shall not extend beyond, meaning if you don't close, they just keep their property. No suing you for this or that. They keep their property. They're signing this. This is a simple statement, but it's so powerful. All right, now the other thing is the inspection period. Buyer will have X number of days. So normally you're going to do at least 14, but I'm going to tell you to shoot for 21, especially if you get 45 days to close on it or whatever. Even if you get 30, you can still do 21. It doesn't matter. Everything's negotiable. But it says buyer will have a 21-day inspection period and has the right to cancel this agreement within the notice to the seller within the inspection period. Inspection period starts when the last party has signed this agreement. So the clock doesn't start on those 21 days until the last person has signed, and that's normally going to be the seller in most cases. All right, so all of this is actually filled out. It says this is intended to be a legal binding contract. You're not understanding the legal effect of any parts of this contract. Seek legal advice before signing. So pretty much everything is covered because it's just so simple. You're buying it as is. It's a cash transaction, and boom. So now if you need an actual cash buyer, you hit yes, and we'll reach out to you and we'll work with you on it to see if we can partner and split a deal 50-50 if we play the cash buyer for you. But if you don't, you hit no. All right, so I'll just put in here email address and that phone number will suffice. All right, so then you hit generate. So once you hit actual generate, it's going to take you over to this next page. You scroll down and then you're looking for this button that says, this link here that says download. Once you hit download, now depending on if you're using Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or Firefox or whatever browser or a Safari, you need to find out where your downloads go, right? You should already know that. All right, so for the sake of this, I'm going to open it up. All right, boom. So now it's all filled out. Now, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that a better looking, presentable, professional contract that you can send to someone, hopefully by email? But if you need to print it out, you can. If you want to put it in the hand, it still looks better this way. Well, you say, I might not know the price or blah, blah, blah. Well, then you just fill it out without the price or whatever. If you just got to do it that way, just fill it out without the price. You may only just put a comma there in the space where the price goes, and then you just write it in once you get in front of them. Same thing in these areas here with earnest money and all this stuff. You just put a comma there or something or a dot or whatever, and it'll allow you to, present the rest of it and and fill it in. But you still can have the rest of it look professional versus trying to fill it all out, because your handwriting, like mine, not be that legible or whatever. But I don't encourage you to do it. I encourage you to do it this way or whatever. So boom. So now we have the contract filled out for the actual seller. So let's get over here and fill it out for the buyer. Okay, so we know, and let me just go back here. So boom. All right, so we know that we have January 1st here, but we found a buyer, we'll just say on January 4th. All right, so now we'll put in here January 4th, okay, 2021. All right, so now you, the wholesaler, you are the seller now. All right, no Social Security, so NA. Then the cash buyer is cash buyer / investor. All right, the address and all of that will remain the same. The county will remain the same. All right, still selling it as is. Now, where you only put up $100, okay, well, let's back up. So you marketed the property at, we'll say, $125,000. You got in the contract with the seller for $100,000, but you're putting it out there through Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, through other wholesalers. You Googled sell my house fast, big money, Alabama, whatever, and the first 2 or 3 pages of results on those are going to either be true wholesalers, real players in your market, and or cash buyers. You reached out to real estate agent, whoever, but you're marketing it at $125,000 looking for a buyer. So you have a buyer that steps forward and they say, hey, I can't do 125. Will you do 118? Okay, so they've taken a look at the property, like what they've seen or whatever you're doing, what you need to do there. All right, so you agree to the 118. So instead of me getting $100 from them, you don't want to accept nothing less than $1,000, maybe $2,500 or more, but we'll just go with $1,000. So you take $1,000 earnest money, you're going to place it here. All right, so cash the seller, instead of 118, it'll be 117. 117, all right, new loan to seller, don't worry about that, in A, and then the actual price is 118, all right. Okay, again, so cash the seller at closing is going to always match up here with balance due, and then I say full payment, like so you can do bank wire, certified funds, whatever you want to do it. Now back here, this says the same thing. So now the cash buyer is the buyer. So buyer will pay all closing costs minus any unpaid taxes, mortgages, or lien. It says the same thing over here on your contract with the seller. So now that's been transferred over to them. So that's why you don't normally have to pay any closing costs. Now, it may be a situation where you have a buyer, and it's going to happen. They don't want to pay all closing costs. They want you to pay half. So we'll just say for the sake of this that the closing cost was $2,000. Normally it's a lot less depending on the market, but we'll just say it's $2,000. So they want you to pay half of that. So instead of you making the difference between contract A, which is $100,000, and contract B, which is 118, so that's a total of 18,000 that you would be making, you would only make 17,000 because you agreed to pay half of the $2,000 closing costs. Sometimes they may want you to pay it all. And so instead of you making 18,000, you only make 16. Are you going to allow $2,000 to prevent you from making 16? I'm not, or whatever. Plus, it may be a buyer that's going to buy over and over again, which is always what you hope or whatever. So I just wanted to make sure that, but normally they're going to pay it all. Normally they don't even trip about that or whatever. All right, so now you have it in the contract with the seller. We can look at this with the seller for the contract date January 1st and the close on the 31st. So you have it in a contract with your buyer started on January 4th. I'm only going to really give them 10 days. Because normally when you're talking to a cash buyer, the conversation should go is how fast can you close? And most of them know they talk in terms as soon as you can get a clear title. So normally within 10 days, you can get that done. Sometimes that's outside of your control or whatever. So I'm only going to give them until January 14th, 2021. All right. So the closing location, so we'll say cash buyer title company. All right. Now, again, they may not care, and it may be a situation where there may be their first deal. So now if you don't know who to close with, the easy thing you could do is just simply go to my Facebook group, Wholesaling Real Estate with the Flip Man, and just ask the question, who's wholesaler friendly, what title company or what closing attorney is wholesaler friendly in Big Money, Alabama, or Memphis, or Milwaukee, or Orlando, or Philadelphia, or wherever. Philadelphia, I know they got some things changing there. But anyway, so, but point being, or you can go to a Facebook group local to that particular city where you're trying to close your deal. All right, so once that's established, now we get down here to the actual inspection period. I'm normally just, if I'm filling out this agreement, they're okay with using this agreement. I forgot to say that sometimes they may not want to use your agreement. They may have their own agreement. As long as it mirrors your terms over here with your contract with the seller, everything fits in place with your terms with the seller or whatever. So, but assuming they want to use the contract, that's the purpose of this video. I'm going to put 0 in here. Right now, if I send it over and they don't balk at it, then boom, they don't care. There's no big deal about them having an inspection period. So that means the earnest money goes hard immediately, meaning that they don't get it back unless you can't produce a clear title. So again, you don't worry about the cash buyer part of it. You go ahead and put, we'll just use that again. All right, then you hit generate, same thing. It takes you over here and then you download it, okay? So boom, so now you have your contract with your cash buyer. You have your contract with your cash buyer over here for $118, and you have your contract with your seller for $100,000. Now, I actually have a video on show. It says how do I get paid? And you can just do a search for that. How do I get paid? Flip man, which I'm gonna do a new video on that one too, because that's going to be, well, I'll get into it in a moment here, but that video will explain how you can set up what I call my closing detail sheet or closing instructions that shows who's the seller, who's the buyer, who's getting paid an assignment fee, who's paying the closing costs, and so on, or whatever. It makes it a lot easier for the closing attorney or the title company to put the deal together. So now you have both of these in place. So how do you get them signed? Do just clicks. Not worrying about someone signing and scanning it in and any of that crazy stuff or faxing. How do we do it? So this video, the next part of this video, I'm going to show you how to use an e-signature. Okay, so now you have both contracts ready to go. But in this situation, assuming you only have one contract or both, it doesn't matter. How do you get them signed the easy way, right? Again, some people won't do this, but most will, because most people have email. If they have email, they can do this quickly, right? If my mom has access to email and she can read them, it's difficult to send email, but anyone can do this, right? And most people have this or whatever. So enter DocuSign. There are a lot of different services out here that will perform an e-signature for you, but this is the one that I prefer to use. All right, and what this is going to do, just really quick before I show you how to use it, what we just did with these two contracts here, right? It makes it easy for you to get them signed for you and the seller and or cash buyer. All right, so I'll go ahead and get logged in here to my account here, and So once we get logged in here, now setting up the account and all that, I'm not going to go through that part of it. There are going to be tons of videos on YouTube to help you with that. This is a very simple service, and setting it up is very simple also. So what you'll do is hit start now, and what I'll do is hit upload and go to desktop, and I'll find the agreement. All right, so it uploads the actual agreement. This is the seller side of it. Just takes a second to load. So once it finishes, I hit next. Okay, so now you just set it up. Okay, so, all right, so I'm gonna put my info in here. So Ty Taylor, and then the email address, all right? Then you hit add recipient. So this would be for your seller. All right. And I'll just put Joe, the seller, and I'll put my other email there. Boom. Now it's set up, but what you want to do is set signing order. So, and before I do that, now you can move these around. If you wanted the seller to sign first and then you, that's fine, or whatever. So you can take it here and move this up and down or whatever. That's totally up to you or whatever. So, but for the sake of this, I would be first and the seller would be second. All right. So now you hit next. So you'll get this whenever you're using my contract. You're going to always get this field here. So you're going to keep PDF form data and then hit confirm. All right. So now down here at the bottom, you see sellers and buyers. All right. So if you look right here, you have both individuals. So Ty Taylor and Joe the seller. So we're going to start with Ty Taylor, and we'll put it down here as the buyer, right? And I'm going to add the date. I just put it out here in the white space over here to the right. Then I hit Joe the seller, put him up here at the top, and signature. I have the different colors here so you can identify one over the other. Then you'll hit next. All right, so what I'll do is I'll hit agreement, right? 1, 2, 3, Main Street, Big Money. And then I'll just say good afternoon. Please review and sign if you don't have any questions or concerns. So boom. All right, make sure I spelled that right. Boom. Then you hit send. So once I hit send and hit sign now, so what it does is if you're logged into your account, it's automatically going to give you an opportunity to go ahead and get yours signed on your end. So then you hit continue, then you hit start, and all you do is click where it says sign right here. And then once you do this, you hit finish. And boom, you're signed. All right, so now you have your actual signed agreement. All right, so once you actually have your actual signed agreement, okay, it's automatically going to send it to the seller for them to sign. Once that happens, you're going to get a notification in your email to show that it's actually been signed. Boom, how simple is that? That makes it so much easier. Takes a lot of the headache out of it. A lot of times people are signing it so fast because it's done professionally. They don't even question it. Not that you're trying to hide anything, but the less questions about the agreement and all this stuff, the easier deal will go through. That's the entire process of putting all this stuff together. Right. Boom, you stuck around. Okay, the 2 new services that I'm going to offer in 2021, one of them, well, both of them are going to start out as free, but one of them will remain free. The other, I'm not sure if I ever charge for it or not, but that's a possibility. All right, the first thing is that you have both contract with the seller and the buyer in place. So what I use is what I call a free, is a closing detail sheet. And what that basically does, and you should see it on the screen here, it shows you who's the seller, who's the buyer, the address of the property, obviously, the price, the sales price, the assignment fee that's paid and who is being paid to, who's paying the closing costs, and your contact information. Now, I give a sample copy of that away now that you can edit because it's in just a normal Microsoft document. But I'm going to add it to dealator.com. So, of course, I'll do a video when that actually happens. The other thing is that a lot of people just simply don't know what makes a great deal or not, right? And it starts with understanding what will the property appraised for in excellent condition, called ARV, or after repair value. So what we're going to start to do through comps101.com, and there'll be a link on dealator.com also, is we're just going to start comping properties for individuals for free, right? It's going to start out as free and maybe start with free and me offering my cash app so as for the donation to pay the people that's going to help me do this or whatever, and then it may just go into a full-fledged service depending on how popular it gets and how taxing it gets on me paying people to do it, because I'll be paying someone to do it. There's no way I could do it myself or whatever with the number of submissions that'll come through. But what we're basically going to do is just going to comp the property for you, send you over an actual video explaining why we came up with that particular number. And hopefully that'll help more people understand what makes a great deal. What's in it for me is hopefully I can get some partners out there that want to JV on the deals. One of the hardest issues that we're having when people are submitting deals to dealolator.com, they simply don't know what a deal is. And a lot of times it's not even close. So I'm going to try to make a more concerted effort, even though Jamil and I do the Thursday night show, and that's good, but I want to make it accessible for people to get comps done every day. Like I say, this is what my intent is. It may get more overwhelming than what I think, but that's the intent for me to put that together here in 2021, the first part of 2021. And normally when I do stuff, I'm going to move fast on it or whatever. So those are going to be the two things that are going to be added. I'm going to add, just like you can fill out the one-page contract on dealolator.com, you'll be able to fill it out on the closing detail sheet or the closing instruction sheet on dealolator.com. And then also you're going to be able to get your properties comped through comps101.com and or you can access through dealolator.com. So hopefully this video helped. Thanks, guys. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we will see you guys on the flip side.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.